Okay, in this video, we will cover how to remove number one limiting belief. Before I go into the process of this, I want to remind you that you should have done the two sentence technique. You should have written down on the notebook for the two sentences so that it gives some prerequisite, some context to this, so you can better relate to this and also better understand and help yourself and apply it yourself. So in this, I'm going to cover removing number one limiting belief in how we have a lot of limiting beliefs in our life and how we can remove the number one most common limiting belief a lot of people have. Even if you don't think you have, just give it a few listen to this, watch this, because I'm guarantee you it can help you. Before I go into further, let me uh, rephrase belief definition again. The only reason is belief is so powerful in our life. Even though it's so simple, it is powerful. And the definition is usually everybody agrees that whatever everybody says is anything that feels true to you, like whatever feels true, is a belief for you. So whatever is true for you is belief for you. A belief is something that feels true about our reality. So, however you are, wherever you are, it feels absolute truth. It feels absolute true, and that's why it is a belief for you. It is a deep conviction you have. This is absolutely true. That's what everybody agrees with, and I'm assuming you're okay with that. So, you may think you may not have limiting beliefs, but still, deep underneath in your subconscious, in your core being, in your identity, you may have some beliefs. And this is an attempt to help you uh, to remove one of the most number one limiting beliefs. So you can be having some of them, and I want to point out here that in your spiritual growth, which always points to having an empty mind, where you don't have much things in your mind is totally empty of anything else. So this can also help in that way. So what I want to say is, um, by just following this, you can also relate to the spiritual growth where your mind is totally empty and you can be totally empty with nothing in it. So kind of emptiness. That's what you see in the spiritual growth. And this is kind of actually related to that. And hope this can help you as well. So, like we did before the exercise, two sentence technique, you do need a notebook to write down. So, if you do not have that, please get that, pause this video, and we can do this when you get that. So, go ahead and get a notebook and a pen to write down because we will be doing some exercise that can help you can use it. So, the number one limiting belief is I am not good enough. Okay, the number one is I am not good enough. This is the number one core belief a lot of people have, and they feel like they are not enough. Now, the good enough is just one example, but usually this takes in many other forms. Like I'm not pretty enough, I am not good enough, I am not successful enough, I am not dash enough. Whatever that comes to you, how you are. So think about it for a minute, a few seconds. I am not dash enough. What is it? Give me something else for you. But I'm giving you the major number one core, like good enough in like whatever that can be for you. So I am not enough. This is the number one belief you carry around, and it shows a lot in your behavior. You may not see intellectually, but emotionally, behaviorally, you do follow this. So intellectually, you may not agree, but you do follow this. Most of them. So in this, we will try to work on this to see if you have one, or if not, also it can still be helpful because you may feel like you're not enough in other ways. So write down in the notebook you have, I am not good enough, like three times. Okay. Now pause this video, go ahead and write, I am not good enough. So, how do you feel? If you're not sure, write again three more times. I am not good enough on the paper. Now you can just think, oh, I don't need to write down, but no, you should write down on the paper because on a notebook, because only doing that you kind of really go into your feelings and how you are. So you should write them down and then see how you feel. Feel any sort of truth in that? Yes, yes, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough in this. I'm not successful enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that enough. Now, I want, if you feel true in any of that form, then you have that belief. If you're not sure, I want to give you one more approach. So if you're not sure it applies to you, or you're like, no, I'm an excellent person, even then, just sit through this thing, and I'm going to walk you through the process for other things, so it can help you. The second method I want to show you is speak in front of a mirror loud. So talk out loud. I am not good enough. So looking at yourself in the mirror, and how do you feel to yourself? Now, you can look in a hand mirror or you can speak in a bathroom when you get a chance. But you should try it at least once to see how you feel for yourself, like how your identity, your core. I am not enough. How do you feel? Do you feel a sense of true? Yes, yes, yes. You see, that is what it is I was coming to. So if you say any sort of yes, any inkling, then you have this limiting belief. How, So I'm gonna go back to some history and working this. Basically, we have a history, like what happened to our childhood, what happened, some major events in your life. It can be painful events, it can be some circumstances, it can be experiences from your environment as well, like losing a job. Now, there are many things that happen to you in your history, where you are right now, but usually the childhood events when you're very young, growing around your parents may have criticized you, or you may not kept your room clean, or maybe you did not stand up to the expectations of your parents and they criticized you. And you may have concluded you're not good enough because of those experiences, because of those events, because of those situations. So think about it for yourself. Are there any painful events? Are there any major events or anything else that happened to you in the past? Anything's come to your mind? Write them down on your paper, on the notebook. It can be with your parents, it can be with your experiences around your environment or people around you, friends, family, even at work. Any major things that really are, write them down. Now, it can be two or three events, but pick the two most important events you feel like have a lot of things. It's very important when something happens. I will go with the simple example of where you are not keeping your room clean and your parents were criticizing you. So, with that being the example, now I'm going to go into the process of removing the limiting belief. Here, the number one limiting belief is we are not enough. That you're not good enough, you're not successful enough, I'm not, whatever enough you are. So, with the simple letting go of the process, I'm going to show you how to remove the limiting beliefs. Now, after completing this, what's true to you right now, what do you feel true right now, will not be same for you. Will not be, it won't be same for you. I want to cover one more thing about subjective versus objective reality. What I mean by here, subjective versus objective is, see, as humans, we have a subjective reality and an objective reality. In the objective reality, everybody agrees exactly what it is. Let's say you have a car. I'm assuming you have a car. Whatever the car you have, if you show it to 10 people and say, hey, what is this? Almost 10 people will say, hey, it's a car. Now you may have a color of the car is different, but it is a car. It's the same car. It's a red car. Five people you show it to them, they're going to tell you it's a red car. Now it comes to subjective, it's experience, the perception, and it's not the same. Let's say an event happened. Let's say something happened. Somebody did something on a group of people. Let's talk about very simple about election. Somebody won an election, and somebody else lost it. And how do the people react to it? People react based on the subjective experience. Even though one person is doing something, other people are for him and other people are against him. Think about it. This happens in many other ways. You can relate to it in your life. Somebody is doing something, some people are for him, and some people are against him. But what the person is doing is same, one thing. So here I want to point out the subjective nature where we are different and we perceive different. We have attitudes, we have beliefs, we have history, we have many other things that where subjective comes from. I want to give you a simple example of an elephant in a blind man story. In long time ago in India, a king brings elephant to the old blind man, and he wants them to explain what the elephant feels for them. So the reason I want to show the story is the story explains the subjective nature versus the objective nature. So as you see here, there is an elephant, and there are like a couple of people looking at the different parts of the elephant. So the blind guy who's looking at the elephant's leg thinks it's a tree. It's very strong, and so he thinks it's a tree. And the blind guy who is feeling the rope of the elephant feels it's like a rope because it's long and it can move up and down. It feels like rope to the person. The other person who is looking at the touching and feeling the ear of the elephant feels it's a fan because it can move left and right. It's like there's air, so he thinks it's a fan. And the other guy who is touching the elephant's tusk sharp is says, "Oh, this looks like a spear." So what I want to point you here is different people are looking at different things because they're blind to other things. Now, as you seeing the whole thing, the one truth which is elephant is what's for you, but the people are blind to other things here. In a similar way, I want to give you a context where we are blind to other things. We can only see what we can see is you how you are. So, but it is still truth though. So what I want to say is, all these people here saying, "Oh, it's a spear, it's a fan, it's a rope." These are all true because that's what they're perceiving. That's the perception. That's the subjective nature here. But in reality, the whole truth here is something else which you and I can see because we are visible. We have eyes and we can see the whole truth. And all are true as well because when you see only that thing, it is still true. And it feels like that true. In a similar way, whatever feels true for us is truth for you and is a belief for us. So take a pause, just see if you can relate to any of that. Now let's go back, assuming we took a pause and like try to give you a few minutes. Let's go back what you wrote down in your events, like your childhood events or experiences, other things that may have some major impact on you. Whatever you wrote down, look at them. What? How did you conclude you're not good enough? Now it may be true at that time, but can you see now that I've explained you many other views and subjective nature that there could be other truths, that there could be other alternative interpretations? Now let's talk about some stranger. Let's talk about somebody who is not you, and you tell your story, and that person is looking at without your conviction. You are thinking you're not good enough. The other person may not say the same thing. Maybe he says, if you are not good enough at that time, it doesn't mean you are not good enough now, or you can improve. Or it can also mean that your parents were having too many expectations, or the people around you had too many expectations of you. Or if you lost a job, it could be the economy is bad. It's not you. The economy was bad. I mean, it's the same thing. The timing cycle, economy goes in a cycle. So if the economy is bad, it's pretty much everybody. It's not just you. So what I want to point you here is different views and different subjective nature of us, and how the events you wrote down and how you concluded may not be the only truth, but there are other truths as well. It's a truth, but not the truth. That's the one thing I want to point out. Now let's look at a blue sky. Can you imagine blue sky? You can see in the presentation here. But can you see a sky without blue? Like, can you see a yellow sky? Probably not, isn't it? Why? Because you have meaning in your mind that a sky is open sky is blue sky. But if you look, the blue is the meaning you gave to the sky. A sky can be red blue, yellow blue, or green blue, depending on how you see it. But the meaning you gave is exactly the color blue, and that's why you're not able to separate the meaning and the sky here. In a similar way, in the past, whatever the event happened to you, you're attaching the meaning to the event, but you're not detaching them. Now, you can always have alternate meaning. So here in the blue sky, if you change the meaning, which is the blue, you can say it's a yellow sky, or you can say sky is like colorless, no meaning. It's no nothing. It's just empty, which is what comes to empty mind. Now, they may be all new to you, or maybe you have some understanding of this, but give it a few minutes. You are attaching meaning to events which have no meaning by themselves. Now, let me go back to the objective, where a car is very objective versus a belief is very subjective. Okay? So, a belief is very subjective because where does it stay? Where is it? In a car, you can touch it and feel it, but can you touch your belief? Can you start your belief like a car, or like is it like an object? Probably not. It's in your mind, and you gave the meaning to these events, experiences, and they don't have any meaning by themselves. Once you understand this clear meaning is what you gave and not by itself, and you can actually give another meaning, or actually no meaning at all. It's like it doesn't no meaning. It's just something. That's it. You don't have no meaning at all. Then you can see that whatever you have believed is not no longer true. There is other alternative truth also possible. And I want to point out one more thing. You are probably kind of being directed. That means things happening to you. You're choiceless. I want to point out another alternative reality in which you do have choice. You do make a choice. You do choose what you wanna rather than somebody else making things happen for you, something else happening to you. So being at the others, you are in control. You are the director. You can choose. You can choose the meaning that you give. You can look at alternative truths. So that is some pretty deep stuff, and I want to give you a brief pause to reflect on it. So the major point is a truth or one truth versus the absolute truth. Because when you say absolute truth, you are completely cutting off the alternative truths. But if you accept things as a truth or one truth, you do are open to other truths are possible as well. Just like the elephant story, based on how you are. Now, if you remove the meaning from the past events you wrote down, congratulations, you have removed the meaning. Now you don't feel that you're not enough anymore because you know that's the meaning you gave, and once you remove the meaning, you can see that you're free of that burden of the belief that is tying you down. That's roadblock for you. So congratulations if you don't feel that anymore. But there's a way to find out, and I'm going to show you. Your belief is gone, and you can choose any meaning or no meaning at all. Write down 3 times, I am not good enough, again in the notebook with paper, on the paper with a pen. Write down 3 times, I am not good enough. How do you feel? Take a pause this, and do it. How are you feeling now? Did you feel exactly same like before this process? Probably not, huh? You feel like, no, I think it's not me, it's something else. Maybe you feel finding alternate meanings. Then congratulations. You can also speak to yourself loud in front of a mirror or a hand mirror and I am not good enough. I am not enough. And see how you feel. If you feel any sort of no, this is not true for me, congratulations. You have removed a number one limiting belief. Life will be a lot more easy for you, a lot more open for you, a lot more things will open up for you, a lot more choices, a lot more control, a lot more success or whatever you want. You feel a sense of freedom and a choice, and you do can choose. Now, if you're like a little bit semi, like maybe I'm not sure I need to do this again. I'm not feeling like before, but I definitely think there is something else. So I want you to go back and rewatch this whole thing. This is very powerful and works on your very subconscious level. So listen to this again, watch this again, and you can get clarity and congratulations on your journey.